I want you to picture for just a moment, imagine for a second how this country would be responding to 2 assassination attempts within 2 months on the lives of Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or even Hillary Clinton. How do you think this country would be responding if this happened to them? Yesterday was week 2 of the NFL. I'll bet you if 2 assassination attempts had been committed against Barack Obama, I'll bet you they'd have canceled the NFL games. They certainly wouldn't have gone on with the Emmy Awards. Poor Tracy last night texted me, and my producer, she's as fired up and disgusted as the rest of us. And she said, oh, sure, put the Emmys on as usual. Well, they weren't going to mess with the Emmys. They're not going to mess with the NFL. They're not going to really be over the top in the coverage of the second time that Trump is nearly killed. It's Trump. Orange man bad. They're trying to stop him any way they can. We know this by now, right? You get it? All of the things we've been saying for years about the beast, about the deep state, about the efforts to block your right to vote for this guy, it's all hitting us right between the eyes. Somebody sent me a link to a Florida newspaper, Treasure Coast Newspapers, page 7. Page 7 in Florida. Headline, report, Trump safe after gunfight near Florida golf club. Gunfight! Want you to hear a former FBI agent, Tim Clemente, who had the audacity to go into enemy territory, CNN, and explain why the second assassination attempt on Trump's life in 2 months probably occurred.
He's probably much more politically motivated. The last shooter in Pennsylvania, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to promote him in any way, but he was clearly a guy that was looking for the notoriety of taking that shot. I would think we're going to find that this guy's extremely politically motivated and that he probably was spurred on by much of the political diatribes that are going on these days, talking about Trump, equating him to Hitler and things like that. So I don't think this is the last we'll see of crazies out there trying to do this.
That's a former FBI agent willing to go on CNN and say that this guy was likely motivated by the insane rhetoric being used against Donald Trump. He's a fascist. He's a threat to democracy. He's Hitler. He wants to take all of our rights away. He wants to put us all in the gulag. That's the kind of rhetoric they're using. And they're also willing to completely and unequivocally promote political violence, the kind of which we've seen against Donald Trump now twice. Here's a montage I saw on social media over the weekend. This is from X. Here's a little hits parade of prominent Democrats and the way they talk about you and me and Donald Trump.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Now, in a normal environment, there might be some concern about all that rhetoric spewed by these vicious, mean-spirited, prominent Democrats. Instead, when they actually attempt to assassinate President Trump a second time in 2 months, they blame him. Check out the anchor of the NBC Nightly News, Lester Holt.
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
Lester,
so the big story, the story here isn't that another leftist, another far-left Biden-Harris-loving Democrat tried to kill Donald Trump. It's that Trump and J.D. Vance are talking about the Haitian migrant crisis in Springfield, Ohio. And that led to bomb threats in Springfield. That's the anchor of the NBC Nightly News. This country's in bad shape right now. And there's one way out, and you know it and I know it. Are you registered to vote? Are you prepared? Have you gone to TrumpForce47.com so you can get involved and hand out flyers and ship out mail yard signs and make phone calls? TrumpForce47.com, or just text the number 47 to our MyPillow text line, which is 800-655-MIKE. Wow. We're in the Relief Factor Studios. Welcome in. Our number is 800-655-MIKE, and I want you to join us. Your voice, your call, your perspective. We got a lot to catch up on, too. There's a ton of stuff that happened over the weekend. Kamala sat down for a one-on-one, and it went just as you would expect. It went just the way you thought it would go. And a whistleblower has come forward from ABC saying that the network gave Kamala the questions in advance. We've got it all for you coming up here on the Mike Gallagher Show. If there's not evidence that Donald Trump needs better protection, I don't know what's left. On the one hand, you could defend the Secret Service and say, well, they shot at the guy. He got away, but at least they saw him. And I'm wondering how there could be a sniper on the golf course where Trump is playing 18 holes of golf. I'm trying to figure that out. The sheriff addressed it there, said, well, he's not the sitting president. What? Donald Trump is not the sitting president? That's the reason you don't have a perimeter around the golf course in West Palm Beach? Here's the sheriff, guy named William D. Snyder, congratulating the Secret Service, but explaining why the perimeter was not closed.
At this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Really? Oh, they did? That's, incidentally, my apologies. His name is Rick Bradshaw, not William Snyder. That's Sheriff Rick Bradshaw from Palm Beach County. Now, now he says, well, I imagine after this there'll be added security. How about after Butler, Pennsylvania, where the monster there came within millimeters of blowing Trump's brains out? I mean, this is so out of control and so awful for our country, for the American process. We are 50 days away from this election, this historic election, where everything is on the line. The whole country's at stake. I've got half a notion to play the entire Kamala Harris interview from ABC 6 or 13 or whatever the local station is in Philly for you to hear. It's not long, 10, 12 minutes. It's awful. It's every bit as bad as you think she is. She's every bit as awful as you suspect her to be. She doesn't have a clue. She knows to issue the proper sentiments after Trump nearly got killed again. Oh, we're glad he's safe. We're going to investigate. Yeah, you're going to investigate. You're not investigating jack. You know what these lunatics are saying. I got a text today when I walked into the studio from a listener who said, I had a coworker that said how disappointed they were that the shooter missed, but third time's a charm. Third time's a charm. That's a coworker for one of our members of our audience. Alexander Vindman was the chief impeachment witness for the Dirty Dems and their ridiculous impeachment scam against Donald Trump. He's married to a woman named Rachel Vindman. You know what she posted on social media? You know what this nice lady said about the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a man was brutally murdered? Corey Compatore's family, I would think, would be offended by her tweet. Let me share what the wife of disgraced Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, Rachel Vindman, posted on Twitter. Quote, "No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon." Unquote. Imagine doing that about an assassination attempt on the life of Barack Obama, or Kamala Harris, or Joe Biden, or Hillary Clinton. Imagine mocking Trump again, nearly being killed by an assassin's bullet. I don't even know how a woman like Rachel Vindman can show herself in public again, other than that's what her world believes. That's what her world thinks. So let's dive in together. Again, this being a caller-driven show, 1-800-655-MIKE. Like I said, no show prep needed. We've got an assassination attempt, the second one in 2 months. We have Kamala's disastrous appearance Friday night. I haven't even gotten to going to an empty movie theater practically in New York City to watch Matt Walsh's brilliant movie, Am I Racist? We got a lot to cover on this Monday, September 16th episode of the Mike Gallagher Show in the Relief Factor Studios. I want to put your voice front and center. Let's go. 1-800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Join us. I want to ask you a good faith question. I'm serious. In fact, I don't mind directing this to Kamala Harris voters. If you don't like Trump, you don't like his personality, you don't like his tweets, you don't like him taking on Taylor Swift, whatever. I don't care. I mean this in good faith. Do you honestly think he's to blame for 2 assassination attempts on his life in 2 months? Do you believe that? My reaction to anybody who sits around and says it's his fault that they've tried to kill him twice in 2 months is that, well, you're nuts. You're insane. Did people blame John Kennedy? Did people blame Reagan when he was shot? Did people blame any of the presidents who were shot, some killed, some who missed? Gerald Ford had 2 assassination attempts on his life. Back in the day when They were shooting at him. Did they blame him? MSNBC did.
But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment.
Let that sink in. That's the analysis after the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. He needs to tone it down. If he tones it down, they'll stop trying to kill him. That was a Time magazine person, Elise Jordan, talking to an MSNBC anchor. How about Lester Holt? He's a big deal, right? He's the anchor of the NBC nightly news. Listen to this.
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town.
Let that say again. So maybe I just got to turn to this audience. Is there anybody listening to me, watching me right now, who thinks, well, it's Trump's fault that he tweets out, I hate Taylor Swift. It's Trump's fault, and Trump and J.D. Vance are responding to what constituents in Ohio are saying about Haitian migrants. Somehow that becomes Trump and J.D. Vance's problem. They're to blame for reflecting what Ohio residents are saying about the Haitian migrant crisis. But is there anybody in America, anybody, who believes that Trump is to blame? I mean, I feel like I'm in an insane asylum. I really do. I feel like I'm in some kind of mental institution that I'm even having to ask you this. But I'm playing clips here from mainstream media outlets blaming Trump. If you're blaming him, well, then how bad can this be? It's his fault anyway. Good. Go ahead, kill him. And can I tell you what I'm most stunned about? They tried to kill him again, and I look up at my screen, and my lines aren't even filled. We're so numb to all of this, it's like it doesn't even feel real, I think, to people. Let me say it again. They tried to kill him again, and America just yawns. Unreal. Unbelievable. We are in an incredible crossroads in this country. And I believe that our country is on the brink. I think we're about to lose this country. I absolutely think we're about to lose America. 800-655-MIKE, 25 past the hour. Let's go. I mean, I'll take a few of the calls that I have holding. You care to comment on the second assassination attempt of Donald Trump's life in 2 months? Is that interesting to you? You think it matters? Tom's in Atlanta, Georgia. Tom, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. Hello.
Yes, hello. I posted the police body cam video for Springfield, Ohio. This police officer arrested a Haitian migrant, had 3 witnesses that saw her stomp this cat head in and then was eating it.
But Tom, that was in Canton, though. That wasn't in Springfield, so it must be fake news. You know? I mean, give me a break. I mean, this is unbelievable. We played the video, Tom. We've got the video, you're right, of the cops asking her, did you eat this cat? Anybody investigate that story? No, nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Keith's in Jamesburg, New Jersey. Hi, Keith.
How you doing, Mike?
Hi, good. How are you?
All right. Mike, I'm beginning to wonder if, I hate to say it, but sometimes I wonder if there's some kind of mole or something in this organization or something, because if the question I have is everybody else's, this guy that flew in from Hawaii, right, this latest shooter.
Yeah.
How did he know? How did he know Trump was going to be there at that
And
exact time.
have you heard that his decision to play a round of golf was made at the last minute?
Is that right? Wow.
I mean that which makes it even worse. Which makes this you're asking a very good question that normally journalists would ask. You'd think the New York Times would be all over that one. How'd the guy know Trump was going to play golf? And again, do you honestly believe Trump's at fault? 800-655-Mike.